Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. DeForce. Join me in unlocking the secrets of life. Today we're diving into the world of pteridophytes. They're like the cool cousins of plants, and they have a few unique classes we're going to explore. So for our learning outcomes, what we need to do for today is understand the characteristics used to classify plants as pteridophytes, specifically referring to ferns. We have to look at the life cycle of ferns and the adaptations of ferns to life on land. So let's look into the world of tracheophytes, a remarkable group of plants characterized by their sophisticated vascular tissue and complex life cycles. Let's uncover the defining features that sets the tracheophytes apart. Tracheophytes boast an evolutionary leap with specialized vascular tissues designed for the efficient transport of water and minerals throughout their entire structures. Their reproductive prowess, tracheophytes showcase a dominant sporophyte generation. Unlike their predecessors, tracheophytes exhibit true roots, leaves, and stems. Tracheophytes encompass a diverse array of plants, from the enchanting club mosses to the ancient horsetails, the elegant ferns, and the resilient gymnosperms, to the flowering marvels of angiosperms. Each branch of this botanical family adds a unique chapter to the story of plant evolution. In the intricate world of tracheophytes, Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida, and Pteropsida emerge as the captivating subclasses, adding layers to the fascinating realm of vascular plants. So join us as we unravel the distinct features of some of these subclasses. Stay tuned for our upcoming explorations into the captivating world of tracheophytes. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to join us on this botanical journey through the intricate lives of these vascular wonders. We start with Psilopsida. Meet the whisk ferns, the most primitive living tracheophytes. They are rootless, leafless, and sporophyte generations, with a dichotomously branched stem bearing sporangia. Basically, they split into two at the top. Only 2 living genera survived today. Next we have Lycopsida. These are the club mosses, spike mosses, and quillworts. Despite the name, they're not actually moss. Picture low creeping plants covering the forest floor. That's these club moss gangs. They're like the ground cover heroes, adding a touch of green to the forest carpet. Club mosses have these tiny leaves arranged around stems and terminal cones or strobili housing their sporangia. Their ancestors were ancient giants that dominated the Carboniferous forests. Next we have the Spinopsida. They are known as horsetails, and they have these jointed stems with small leaves, kind of like the segments on a bamboo plant. Horsetails are resilient and have been around for a long time. You might find them near water, standing tall and proud. They include the horsetails and scouring rushes. They have a high content of silica in their cell walls, which makes them abrasive and useful for polishing metal or wood. And lastly, the group we will be discussing, Pteropsida. Imagine walking through a lush forest and spotting those beautiful feathery leaves. Those are the ferns. Ferns are like the fashionistas of the pteridophyte family. They have elaborate leaves called fronds that come in all shapes and sizes. So next time you're hiking and you see some fancy fronds, you'll know they belong to the fern family. They have various ecological, cultural, and economic roles. For example, some ferns are epiphytes, which grow on other plants without harming them and provide habitats for many different animals. Join us as we unveil the adaptations that make ferns true botanical survivors. First up, vascular tissue. Ferns boast the evolutionary marvel of vascular tissue, comprising xylem and phloem. This xylem and phloem facilitate the transport of water and minerals, sugars, and amino acids, enabling the ferns to reach greater heights and widths than their non-vascular counterparts. Ferns also evolved additional coping mechanisms for water stress, including photoprotection, drought avoidance, and drought resistance. In the photoprotection, it involves pigments, antioxidants, and a dense endowment to shield against excess light. In drought avoidance, features include leaf shedding or growth reduction during dry seasons. And drought resistance involves the maintaining of a water balance and a metabolic activity under low water availability conditions. Adaptations for life on land, the mechanical support and drought tolerance. So ferns showcase the classic trio of true roots, stems, and leaves, fundamental organs in the plant kingdom. Facing extreme drought, some ferns employ desiccation tolerance. A dormant state is embraced, normal functions resuming only once water is available again. This resilience is shared with other cryptogams like mosses and lichens, and achieved through mechanisms like water loss reduction and cell membrane protection. Our fern adventure begins with something called sporangia. Think of sporangia as these tiny spore-spreading wizards hanging out on the underside of leaves. These wizards are like tiny capsules filled with spores, and they're the ones who kickstarts the fern's magical journey. Now, when those spores land on the ground, they turn into something called a prothallus. The prothallus is like the hidden gem of the fern world. It's tiny, green, and shaped like a little heart. You might need a magnifying glass to spot it, but it's there, doing some serious fern magic. Our fern adventure takes a romantic turn. The prothallus has boy parts called antheridia and girl parts called archegonia. It's like a magical love story happening on this tiny green heart-shaped stage. Water plays a crucial role in this love story, helping the boy parts release their swimmers that finds their way to the girl parts, a watery dance of fern love. When the swimmers or sperm reach the girl parts, fertilization happens. It's the fern's magic moment. The fertilized eggs grow into what we call a sporophyte, which is the real fern we see with leaves, stems, and roots. Our fern adventure continues as the sporophyte grows up and unfurls its little fronds. Fronds are those beautiful feathery leaves that make ferns so enchanting. Now our fern is all grown up, ready to spread its spores and continue the magical cycle. The alternation of generations is the process by which ferns switch between sporophyte and gametophyte phases. The zygote grows into a new sporophyte, which produces spores, which grows into a gametophyte, which produces gametes, and so on. This cycle allows the fern to maintain genetic diversity and to adapt to different environmental conditions. Sporangia formation is the development of sporangia on the underside of the mature fronds containing haploid spores. The mature sporangia releases the spores into the environment. The haploid spores will then germinate, completing the life cycle by starting a new gametophyte generation under favorable conditions. The prothallus is a little heart-shaped structure, and it has the gametophytes on it, the antheridia and the archegonia. So, for the basic structure, ferns don't rely on seeds like many of the other plants. Nope, they've got something cooler, rhizomes. Rhizomes are the underground stems that ferns use to spread and explore the world. These water-seeking wizards help ferns find moisture and nutrients underground. It's like having a secret roots underneath the surface, but it's actually stems. Now let's talk about the fronds, those fantastic feathery leaves that make ferns so stylish. Ferns are frond fashionistas, and these leaves are not just for show. They're designed to catch the sunlight for photosynthesis, turning it into energy for the fern. Plus, they're excellent at shedding rain, keeping the fern hydrated and happy. Ferns have a unique way of reproducing. Instead of just using seeds, they go for spores, tiny magical particles that can travel through the air. Ferns produce these spores in special structures called sporangia, often found on the undersides of the fronds. It's like ferns have their own little magical spore factories. Ferns are the champions of shady spots. Some plants might struggle in low light. Ferns thrive in these shaded areas. Their ability to photosynthesize efficiently in lower light levels makes them the go-to greenery in forests, creating those enchanting lush landscapes. Now, ferns might love water, but they've also got some tricks up their sleeve for dry times. Their fronds have a protective layer called a cuticle, which helps reduce water loss. Plus, some ferns have a nifty trick of curling their fronds during dry spells, creating a cozy shelter to conserve moisture. Want to dive deeper into life sciences? Check out more of our videos. Don't stop learning now. Explore more videos and download our worksheets for a complete learning experience. Links will be found below.